I see the numbers today and it's mind-boggling the amount of product that goes out the door or can go out the door in a day.
(1969) Riverside, California. K&N Motorcycles has just launched a new line of cotton air filters for motorcycles. Owners Ken Johnson and Norm McDonald begin looking for new staff to manufacture their new innovative filters.
I met Phil McDonald, which would be Norm's son, in junior high school. So back in like '69, somewhere around there, we rode motorcycles together. I actually was at home out of high school and painting my folks' home. And they called me up and said, "Hey George, make a lunch, come on down and pack some parts." I said, "Okay, I'll do it." And so I put together a lunch and I came down here and started packing parts. So that's how I kind of got involved with K&N. I started in October 14 of '73. I packed for 2 or 3 years, and then I took over the whole distribution for about 21 years.
George Wilson became one of those first employees. And after more than 45 years as a K&N team member, George loves to share stories about the early days of the company.
Back when we first started, there probably wasn't more than 25 people here. It was pretty family oriented, you know. You had to learn to do a multiple of things. We actually made our own filters. We had to staple our own cards together with product on them, bag our own filters. We actually just had to do it all, because there just wasn't enough people, and you know, we didn't have that many orders either. So it was a whole experience, a new experience for us.
George is one of the few remaining employees that can describe firsthand what it was like to work with founders Kenny and Norm.
Norm, he was definitely motorcycle. All he knew was racing. That was his goal, how to build a team that was going to be number one. Kenny's side, he was a motorcycle guy. He really was. But once he got involved in building the product, the filter itself, his focus was definitely on building product. I mean, there was many times he'd come in the warehouse and look at the inventory and he didn't like the pleats being crooked, he didn't like the wicking of the material, because it was a high-end piece and we made the best of the best, and he wanted to look the best.
As George continued to work at K&N, he had a front row seat to watch Kenny as he developed filters that could outflow any competitor.
I remember the first day when he got his flow bench, the first flow bench that we ever had here. He was just like a kid in a candy store. He was flowing everything he could find to put on that thing to figure out what was going on, you know. Dirty filters, clean filters. He'd call me up from the warehouse and come down here, George. You got to see what this thing's doing. And I'd go down there and he'd just be flowing away on that thing. He was so excited to have a flow bench and be able to prove his point, what the K&N filter could really do. I mean, he had filters in there that we would flow from Malcolm Smith's Baja 500 or the Baja 1000. Back then, when we built special stuff for his Baja cars, the pleats would be filled with dirt and still flowing air. And he would run those numbers against the new one and see. He was excited about that.
But it wasn't just Ken and Norm. George also worked side by side with former K&N owner Jerry Mall.
Jerry came in. He actually came in a few months after me. And we always kid about that, who was here first. But I'll tell you what, I'd do anything for that guy. He worked hard to get what he got. I remember Jerry coming in at night with actually his younger kids in the van sleeping. And I'd be down maybe talking to Kenny at night or whatever, and Jerry'd be in there sawing material. Yeah. Jerry wasn't afraid to get in and get his hands wet and dirty and whatever. I mean, there was plenty of times where, you know, we needed to get every single order out of this place to make payroll, whatever we needed to do, you know. And he'd sacrifice and do anything. And to this day, what he has, what he owns, he deserves it all, in my mind.
After 45 years of service, George is still a faithful advocate for K&N and leads a new generation of employees to make the world's best air filter.
I actually saw it from the very beginning, you know. The K&N name, I've looked at those 2 letters of the alphabet for a long time. The product has proven itself. You know, I can go back to the racing days. There wasn't anything better to put on your motorcycle back then. There really wasn't. You know, there was a couple companies making foam stuff, but it didn't work like the K&N filter did.